Detachment, 2011, produced by Tribeca Film, starring Adrian Brody, directed and shot by Tony Kaye, written by Carl Lund, is a confession of not just the failures of public education, but the failures of society and how these failures reflect onto the youth of this country. This film analysis will delve into the themes, symbolism, and socially charged messages Detachment brings forth in the 90-minute feature. The first quote of the film states, "And never have I felt so deeply at one, and at the same time so detached from myself and the present in the world." This is quoted from Albert Camus, a French philosopher of the 1950s. His core philosophy was that life is void of meaning, or man's inability to know that meaning, if it were to exist, was something that man should embrace. Camus did not believe in God or any higher power. Similar to the main character of Detachment, Henry Barfs, Albert Camus experienced seeing a traumatic death in front of him at a young age. This is an interesting foreshadow given only 1 minute into the feature. The film then goes into interviews similar to Henry's of different educators giving their reasons or stories for how they became educators. The mix of emotional and heavy music along with the black and white imagery sets a melancholy tone for the film. And trust, it doesn't lighten up much. The film introduces the environment of school. It is chaotic, loud, and empty in an off-putting way. We learn that the principal is being removed due to low school ratings, teachers are burnt out, and the students have no respect. This reflects the issues most low-income, urban public schools have in America. The teachers are so far burnt out, they can't even inspire themselves, let alone inspire their students. I think this is why Henry Barfs, so beautifully played by Adrian Brody, is a character that can be so three-dimensional, despite the wall his character puts up, even to the audience. His calm and put-together presence makes the audience wonder what made him so rational. What has taken him to this point where other people's actions towards him don't personally hurt him? Henry's ability to open up meaningful conversations and pursue meaningful actions is what connects his students to him. Perhaps it is because Henry is hyper self-aware, which can be inferred due to the caution of his language whenever he speaks. This film is about a school that is falling apart at the seams, an unraveling of motivation and inspiration from all ends. The topic of public school education in America is one that has many differing opinions. 90% of Americans have attended public school. It is a topic many can feel a connection to, especially since they have experienced it firsthand as a student or even participating as an educator themselves. The film is directed by Tony Kaye, and the screenplay is by Carl Lund. These two creators influenced an element of realism in this film. Director Tony Kaye claims he always wanted to be an art teacher if his film career didn't take off. The screenplay is written by Carl Lund, a former public school teacher. Leading actor Adrian Brody's father was a public school teacher for 30 years, and Adrian Brody had to take 4 public school buses in the morning to get to school. The personal connections the film team had to the public school system is what I think holds this film together. Not much is said, but at the same time the message is so prevalent. The fact is, society breaks us down. From a nursing home waiting for their patients to pass, to a young girl selling her body to leave whatever it is she can't go back to an emotionally walled substitute teacher. Where did it all go wrong? Well, public school. From being a child to an adolescent, school is the first societal institution a human is introduced to. Education is essentially the foundation of society. The film shows us firsthand the people who are given the responsibility to run these foundations, and that their margin of error is because of their flawed humanity. Jonathan Kozol, writer of the critically acclaimed Savage Inequalities, Children in America's Schools, writes about the issues of the public education system. He claims it is not only the students who are failed, but the teachers as well. In many low-income school districts, substitutes are preferred to help cope with low budget cuts. I think this prominent issue is reflected in Detachment. In this failing school, there are no teachers to be hired because they have either quit or they do not want to work there. So all that is left is Henry to turn this English class around. Henry, played by Adrian Brody, is a deeply complex character. He is hurt by the absence of his father and the passing of his mother. His only family left is his grandfather, who has a dwindling memory. Perhaps this is why Henry continuously begs his grandfather to finish his memoir. Henry's loneliness is the root of his detachment from society and himself. We see Henry grow from an emotionally distant man to a man touched by the young adults in his life which he tries to mentor. Clips are shown intermittently of him as a child. I believe Henry grew up to be the adult he needed in his life, someone to understand. A glimmer of hope is provided as the conclusion of this film. We see Henry Barfs at the forefront of his classroom. It can be inferred that he took the permanent position as an English teacher. He speaks about The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. The novel by Poe is about an extremely wealthy family tainted by incest and greed. For the family to keep their empire, they resort to unspeakable actions of greed, corrupted morality, and breaking of humanity. Figuratively, the family made a deal with the devil to keep their wealth. And the book is about how it all crumbled. I believe the film intentionally ended this way, with everything crumbled. For our society and education both stand on a foundation dating back centuries, and sometimes the harsh truth is that it is not a foundation to entirely be proud of. The question I will leave you with is, will that foundation stand strong or crumble to the ground one day?